Too much metal for one hand.
Oh God, I remember that. Oh, this is. You remember the YouTube comments that are too much metal for one hand? Like the
Oh, those
slash,
people are
two
great.
M's, and another slash.
Oh yeah, man. Those people. Those people. I mean, dude.
Too much metal for one.
Well, anyway, welcome to Dialectic Chaos, a
Yes.
podcast about there being more metal for one hand. You
Yeah.
gotta use two hands.
Yeah.
You can't just use one.
Too much metal for even two hands. That's why we have to have two of us to make a four-handed too much metal for two hands. Here. You do the other side. You do the other side. Yeah. The other. No.
Flip your pinky.
Oh, okay. Well, I wanted you to do it. Okay, fine.
Outward.
Yeah. There you go.
There we
Okay.
go. We did it. We did it.
That was so. That was the stupidest thing I've done on this podcast, and that's saying something.
Hashtag cringe-tastic.
Yes. Um, So, speaking of cringe, Nick picked the topic this time.
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Nothing. But I'm gonna let you describe your topic. It's what makes a live
Okay,
set great, but if you want to get a better description of what you're getting at here, feel free.
yes. So we're going to talk about what makes a set list good. So it's one thing for a band to perform well, but what makes a show truly great is when the band plays a correct balance of new songs and old songs, but also plays songs in the right order. If you look at a lot of the albums we've been talking about, one of the things Patrick really likes to address is the flow of the album, how each track flows into the next, and how it kind of tells a story. So this is something that I think you can accomplish with a set list. And the cool thing about a set list is you can do stuff from different albums. So, like a song that you'd never expect to just flow into another might actually flow really well because maybe they're in the same key and a similar tempo, or maybe just like they just go super well together for some other reason because music theory is not everything apparently. Um, and there's also a type of opener, a type of closer, balance of material, uh, you know, things like that are the stuff we're going to address here. And with this case study, we're going to be utilizing the same list of live shows that we've used last time. So once again, in the description, once this goes up on YouTube, we will drop those YouTube links to the 16 or 17 concerts we've analyzed. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I would definitely agree that the flow of songs is just as important live as it is in album, and that the construction of a set list is very much like that of an album, except with different constraints on it due to it being a live show. You know, and
yeah, the songs you might open an album with might not exactly be the same song you open a live show with.
not necessarily, but commonly,
That's
commonly.
frequently the case. It's very frequently the case.
Yeah. I mean, there are some songs that you might not want to open an album with that you would open a song with that you wouldn't open a set list with. I don't think you can ever think of the reverse. Anything you can open a set list with, you can definitely open an album with.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, most of the time, honestly, if I think of album openers, it's usually things that can be set list openers, like. Well, let's get into
Well,
your
it
description of
depends.
the
If it's a
various
very
types.
mellow opener,
And a
if it's a
mellow
very
album
mellow opener,
opener.
it might not be great.
Yeah, if it's a mellow album opener, that is not an intro, but that's not very common in metal.
This is true.
Yeah.
So, um, I've come up with a couple of varieties of opening tracks that are very common and appear in these live shows. So the first type of openers is the blitz. This is a blisteringly fast, uncompromising one-two punch. This is very common among the artists that lean towards the punk side. So this type of opener would be like It's a short, sweet, to-the-point track, starts heavy, is heavy all the way through. Nothing particularly complicated goes on here. It's just right out the gates. And I think this is a very safe way to start a set list.
It's also a very, very safe way to start an album. And I think that you didn't list these, but the paradigm example of how you would start an album like this, and I'm sure they did start mini set lists like this, the paradigm examples I can think of are Fight Fire with Fire and Battery.
Yeah, Metallica is definitely a big fan of this particular type of opener.
Yeah.
So the examples from these set lists we've got
Yeah.
here are Manifest Decimation from Power Trip and Sick, in parentheses or brackets, whatever you prefer, by Slipknot. So, if Sick is probably a song more of you are acquainted with than Manifest Decimation. So we'll start with Sick. So
Mhm.
Sick is very, very straightforward. It's just, bum 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 bum, and then it's in the bass drum, and then whammo. It's just keeps going the whole way through, and it's fast, it's heavy, and it's breakneck speed. That's the kind of opener we're looking at here. And Manifest Decimation is very similar, but just by a different style.
Yes. Yes. This type of opener is indeed very safe. There's kind of not that much to say about it. When you hear it, you're starting up. You mosh, you thrash, you do whatever. It's fast. It's simple. It gets the blood
So
pumping.
the issue I have with this type of opener, and not saying I dislike it, because to be honest with you, my band has utilized this type of opener, and we plan on doing so next year, with a track we've yet to release. Um, you know, it's it's very safe, but it's also sometimes less memorable than the category we're going to one of the later categories. This type of opener is, you know it. Let's say Power Trip, for example. With the exception of a couple of tracks in Power Trip's repertoire, like they could have easily put uh Firing Squad in Manifest Decimation's place,
I would
or
definitely
like
open with Soul Sacrifice just as a rule
I
because
would too. I would too. you know, it, and let's be fair, most of the time they do. This set, they just decided we're going to
yeah,
open with Manifest Decimation instead. This is an odd Power Trip set list. They just didn't play Soul Sacrifice first. They threw it in the middle of the set. I don't know.
well,
But,
that's because they were probably like, we got to switch it up. People are bored of hearing the
probably.
same shit. But their set list is half an hour, so they're going to play basically the same songs anyway because they've got two albums and like 45 minutes
Yeah.
to fill. So, there's only two
Yeah.
Power Trip albums. There's only so much Power Trip out there. Um, but
Well,
yeah,
they technically have that compilation album that was from everything before Manifest Decimation.
I think one thing
And
that
they play
makes
songs off of that.
I think one things that make Blitz openers more fun and interesting are breakdown openings, which is an art definitely taken from hardcore, which Power Trip have put into Soul Sacrifice. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And let's be real here. The Rift to Soul Sacrifice is the whole reason why Power Trip is awesome.
Yeah.
So good. Such a good riff.
And that is absolutely hardcore tactics. That is hardcore way of opening a set list, opening an album. I don't know if I can think of any like metal examples divorced from that perspective. Like normally when you start out with a blitz, it's immediately fast. Metallic have that joke thing, and you can start fast and then go slow. That's something you go into in the other example. But you talk about explosions. Let's talk about explosions for a minute, I guess.
Yeah, so the next type of opener is called an explosion. So it has the difference between an explosion and a blitz is that an explosion is typically a more complicated song, and there's usually something preempting the blitzkrieg bit. So it'll start it'll start with something. There'll be like a little intro to it, and then it'll have this big explosive moment, and the song might cool down a little later. So the examples we've utilized here for explosions are Blackened from Metallica, because again, Blackened isn't like a blitz the entire way through, and Funeral Fog. And
So,
Funeral Fog is very special.
so what you wrote here is begins with a big blitz, hit, and then cool off, which is the case for Blackened. Blackened, they don't. I don't think they do the intro live, do they?
Well, the way they run it on a tape, and then Hetfield comes out with
Still, that's more of
and
an
then it
intro than
explodes.
anything. It's more like it goes immediately. It hits and then it cools off. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but the reverse can be just as effective, and that's more of the hardcore way of doing it. The traditional metal way of doing it would be to go fast then slow. I think. Actually, you can have sort of a prototype example of this in Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. I don't know if they opened sets with it, but that's totally what I would think of as like an explosion version on an album. Do you know if they opened sets with Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath a bunch?
I don't think so. Usually they opened with War Pigs.
Yeah, well, I mean, it does open Paranoid out, but it's not exactly the most appropriate opener when I think about it. If you think about it,
Yeah, when I've seen Black Sabbath, they've opened with War Pigs the first time, and the second time was their self-titled.
I mean, back in the day, though.
I don't know. You'd have to ask my father. My father's the Black Sabbath expert.
I feel like hopefully at least they opened the Sabbath Bloody Sabbath era touring with Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, because that's a great opener, man. I think, and that's a great example of that explosion. But yeah, in something like Soul Sacrifice, you have the reverse of that. It just opens with a breakdown and then goes into a blitz, which is also a solid way to do it. So
Now, jumping to Funeral Fog, because Funeral Fog is very cool. So Funeral Fog does this little nifty thing where it does the explosion twice. So nice and quiet, spooky, and then and then it cools off with this little melody bit, that little doohickey, and then it stops, and then it's like they go into Blackened, and then it cools off again. And they've masterfully done the explosion twice. They opened it twice, and that's just so cool. And that's why I think Funeral Fog is such an effective opener. And I don't know why Mayhem opens with any other track. I mean, I understand why they're opening
variety.
with they're opening with a new one of the new songs right now, and it's actually a very good opener too. But I think Funeral Fog is more effective, despite the new song being great.
Variety.
Yeah.
So next, let's talk about these builders, which are probably overall the most memorable type of opener, I would say.
Yes. So builders are definitely a very memorable type of opener. I'm partial to explosions. That's my preference.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Maiden always does explosion openers, and I love the way Iron Maiden approaches set lists. To me, I think that it can't get much better than Iron Maiden.
Give examples. Explosion
But
Iron Maidens. Give examples of some Iron Maiden explosions here.
Aces High.
Aces High.
Where Eagles Dare.
Okay. Where Eagles Dare.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to open with Where Eagles Dare because I'm just not crazy about that song.
Well, that's what they opened with on that tour. Oh, Moonchild.
Oh yeah, but Moonchild almost feels like okay. I guess it's got an intro.
You got to remember they have the intro for Aces High. They don't play that little introductory part. They come in at
Yeah.
And Satellite 15, The Final Frontier.
Oh man, that's an intro. Oh man, I want to see that live now so bad. They're never going to do it live in my lifetime. In their they're never going to perform that as a live opener, except on the Final Frontier tour. Now I'm sad that I didn't
No,
see
I
the
think they'll
Final
do it
Frontier.
again.
You think so? Oh, I really
I
want to see
totally think
that.
they'll bring it back.
Oh man.
Dude, remember, they brought back For the Greater Good of God on the most recent tour. They played the Klansmen. Anything is possible in an Iron Maiden set list. But anyway, with the Builder. So the Builder is more rewarding, but it's also very, very risky. But the payoff, primo. Because you could play a Builder type of song as your opening track that kind of starts out in like a smaller way, and then instead of exploding, giving you that big hit, it kind of goes up and up and up, and then there's an emotional climax, and then it comes back down, but just a little bit, you know? And the examples I've given are Spirit, which Ghost opened with, and Ram 4, whatever the hell Ram 4 is, by
Ghost,
Rammstein.
Ghost is not in our list.
What do you mean?
I thought we were staying within the. I guess we're
Ghost
not
is on
because it's
this
on the
list.
mark. Oh, where does Ghost get on this list? Oh, Ghost is
Ghost
on
is
this list. Oh, I'm sorry.
that
My
they're the
mistake.
second band I added to the list.
Okay, I'm a stupid moron. Anyway, yes. So Spirit.
Okay, dude. Yeah, Spirit. So I've seen Ghost way too many times, and for the majority of those times, Ghost is opened with Spirit, because I saw them on the Meliora tour a million times. And Spirit is this. If you're not familiar, it's kind of a psychedelic heavy metal song. You know, it's got this weird theremin-y synthy intro, and it's got this on the guitar, and the drums come in with this little cool beat, boom boom ka boom 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 ka boom ka, and it just kind of builds up to the first verse where Papa Emeritus comes out of this beam of light and just appears on the stage.
Dude, I
That
remember.
they're building to that moment. It's not an explosion because it's a big hit, but it's not an enormous hit. It's just like it's more like whoop, instead of bang,
Yes,
you know.
yes, yes, indeed. Builders often are more inclined to build on you as you
I
hear them.
cannot hear you.
Ah,
We're experiencing technical difficulties.
well, I'm just gonna have to disconnect and reconnect. It's gonna look awkward for a second here, folks.
Okay, I can
This
hear
is
you now.
probably going to happen several times within the stream, to be honest with you, because we haven't been able to pinpoint the cause of like why this is happening. But whatever.
Yeah, this is something that occurs when we play D&D together. All of a sudden Patrick will just stop making sound because we utilize this same program for our Dungeons and Dragons games, so you guys can know how nerdy we are.
Yes. Well, in case that wasn't obvious. But anyway, the thing about builders is
Yes.
they often build on you as well. Builders take a while to grow on you. I didn't see Ghost when they opened with Spirit, which is sad. They opened with Rats. Rats is good, but it's not nearly as good as Spirit.
Yeah, Spirit's the kind of song that you hear it and it's like, this is okay.
Yeah,
But then you're
especially
like,
like
wait a
the
minute.
first 2 minutes.
No, it's really
I'm
good.
listening to this song and I'm like, nothing has happened yet.
Throw yourself
So I mean, I guess that's a. I was like, I guess that's a little
into
interesting,
the
but it's just
vessel.
crazy to me. Square Hammer absolutely should not be an opener. That's nuts. Square Hammer is pillow talk material.
They used to open with Square Hammer, but that was like just one tour.
That's a mistake. Don't open the Square Hammer. Um, but anyways, yes, the thing about Spirit is, yeah, nothing seems to happen on it. It's literally just going. You're listening to that and you're
Come
like,
on, it's got that sick proggy melodic part in the middle of it.
Yeah, no, the whole
That's a
thing is
good bit.
amazing because it takes a while to build up. There's just like subtle, very subtle melody as it's going on, and it's just plodding along until it gets to the crazy middle and all that kind of stuff. That's why it's a builder, but that's also why it was
Yes.
like 2 minutes into it, and you're thinking, when does the song start? uh, but then retrospectively, Spirits, top 5 Ghost songs for sure, for me.
Yeah, Spirit is an excellent track, and Ghost. I think they still play it live. They just, I don't think they knew what they had when they came out with Spirit.
Yes.
Otherwise, they would have promoted it way more than they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, moving on to our other example, ROM 4. So, a little background on this particular track. So, this song does not have a studio version. This song came from Rammstein's like between 2015 and like 2019 period where they were between albums. They were writing their self-titled album. I think it's self-titled. I don't know what the fuck it's called. The one Deutschland is on. But they just never. They've been playing this song, saying, "Oh, this is the new song," and then it never went on the album. I don't know. And it is a silly little song with this fun little riff, and all of the lyrics are just titles or lines from their other songs.
And then the chorus. Ja,
Is
nein,
Yeah,
Rammstein. Ja, nein,
yeah, it's pretty
Rammstein.
silly.
Yes,
Rammstein's
no,
odd,
the name
man.
of our band.
They're very odd people. Very strange. But anyway,
Can you imagine
you
going
know,
yes, no, Mind Razor?
oh no. That would be bad. That would be bad.
Yeah.
So anyway, the reason why the Rammstein track is a builder is because it doesn't begin. Rammstein has this little countdown before they come on. They don't have an intro track. It's just counting down from whatever number. And then it shows their stupid little R logo. And then just the keyboard player, who's a very odd fellow, and he looks like I don't want to insult this man because I'm sure he's a sweet fellow. And they're all from communist Germany. They all grew up in the communist side of Berlin, I believe. So I feel bad for them for having to suffer this. But this guy looks like every SS officer you've seen in any movie. But he's got this leotard on. And he just comes out looking like a lunatic and with these crazy keyboard effects, just making these odd sounds with his keyboard. And then nice simple jazzy drum beat. And then the guitar players come out of the ceiling. They descend from the heavens. Nice and simple riff. A fun riff. A fun
The kind of
riff.
riff that you never really want to listen to into in the studio, but live they make it work.
Exactly. And then they come off of their little ceiling thingies. They play the riff again, and then the singer comes out and he explodes his hat. His hat blows up. He's wearing a hat and it explodes. I mean, I don't know. If I were a guy walking onto a stage, I would not want my hat to explode.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to put explosives in my hat.
Would you want to ride a giant phallus which spews foam into the audience?
He does do that. You are right. He does that. He does ride a giant phallus that spews foam at the audience. He does that. That's for sure. But
Um,
yeah, this song builds up, and there's no real climax to this track either. This is a introduction. It's got a simple little pre-chorus that's kind of it pulls you a little bit. Na 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 na. Yeah, that's the kind of pre-chorus, and then it goes into the yes/no chorus, which, I mean, come on, let's be real here. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. That's pretty funny.
And
But yeah,
then,
it's effective.
and then you called the category of ineffective songs the warm-up category.
Yes, warm up, meaning they're warming up. When my band gets together, we usually just pick a track, usually a cover, and we just jam it. And then we open our set list. That's how we tend to play. We'll play through our whole set, and then we'll stop where we feel we need to. Like we'll just, the first song we played on our last tour was our track Nightfall off of our EP, and Nightfall is an explosion song. So we'll play, but we'll play like Paranoid because it's nice and easy beforehand, just to warm up our vocals, our hands, just to get everything going.
You should do
So these
Paranoid
songs,
live. That's a
why?
joke. You should do
Why?
Paranoid live.
That's how you lose your credibility. If you play Paranoid live, you have lost your credibility as a band.
Not if you're 15. Then it's cool.
Yes, but yes. So anyway,
My band did that when I was 15.
we did too.
But yeah. Dude.
Yeah. But anyway, so these are tracks that I feel like are good songs. The warm up tracks are never bad songs. But like, why are you playing that first?
It could be a bad song.
In these cases, they're not.
These cases are not, sure. So yeah, Pursuit of Vikings by Amon Amarth. That should be their second track.
I agree. Pursuit of the Vikings is so this is the track that originated the trend of rowing. If you're not familiar with rowing, it is my favorite thing to do in a mosh pit. Amon Amarth has a big boat on the stage a lot of the time, either that or a big Viking head. And when they play this song, it's a mid-tempo, like I think it's like 120 BPM. During the bridge of this song, everyone hits the deck and starts rowing.
Exactly. That's how you start your second song.
Yeah,
Obviously, your
but
first
like
song you're moshing and
this,
headbanging, and then the second song it's time to row. It's like time to slow
yeah,
down, time to catch your breath, and time to row and enjoy the novelty of it. And then the third song you can do whatever. Clearly, this is the second song. I don't even like Amon Amarth, and I know that.
yes, this is the case. And Amon Amarth has other tracks that are good openers too.
I would imagine.
Amon Amarth has Father of the Wolf, which is a great opening track. Amon Amarth has First Kill, which is a good opening track. But they chose Pursuit of the Vikings. I don't understand. It's a great song, but like Runes to My Memory off the same album would have been better to open. Like you guys have these great intro tracks, and instead you open with your second track. This would be like if Metallica opened with For Whom the Bell Tolls. Yeah, like I like that song, but it doesn't.
But yeah, it's not supposed to be an opening.
And this is the same deal with Carcass's whole deal with their opening track. 1985 / Buried Dreams.
Just make it Thrasher's Abattoir. 1985 Thrasher's Abattoir. That would be a great opener. But what is Buried Dreams doing on here? 1985 is a good intro for a live set.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's Buried Dreams is the problem. Again, not Buried Dreams, the song being a problem, but Buried Dreams is not a good opener either.
It's a second song. It's another second song.
It would be a good second song, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Thrasher's Abattoir is the way to go. But they just didn't. And like, what you doing there, Carcass?
I
feel so bad because I'm actually a huge Carcass fan. I love this band, especially their post Heartwork stuff. I really, everything they've done before Heartwork and everything they've done after Heartwork even more. I just love it.
They're just bad live, I guess.
Yeah, they just don't rub me the right way live, which is a shame because they're a band I could actually go see and enjoy. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the deal with opening the show. So when you're a local band, the first piece of advice you get from any veteran is people aren't going to give a shit about the songs you play in the middle. People are going to remember your opener and people are going to remember your closer. Unless you have a particularly amazing song that you're going to play in the middle for some reason, put your best song first and your second best song last. The first best song to keep people engaged. The
People
best song at the end
remember
to make
your
sure people
second
remember you.
song. People remember your second song. People are
This
generalizing
is true.
because it's a simpler rule, but people definitely remember how your first song transitions into your second song, and that will very much be a decider of whether they're maintaining their interest generally through the whole thing, which gives them a different vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
So
people
this is something
definitely
that
remember your
Mindraiser.
second song, and that's an
Yeah.
underrated fact.
This is actually one of the reasons why my band Mindraiser was very, very particular with picking our second track. On our last tour, we opened with our track Nightfall, and Nightfall transitions very well into our track The Misanthropist. Nightfall ends on a big E chord. We tune a whole step down, so it's a big D chord. And then the next song begins in a much slower rate with a drum beat over this E chord. Boom ba doo doo da ba ba da da boom ba doo doo da bam boom ba da boom ba doo da ba. And then the guitar builds up into this slayery thing. You
Contrast
know,
is very important.
yeah, that's very memorable because it's in the same key. It's heavy, but it's different than our first track, which you've said to me multiple times rubs you as power metal.
Yes, exactly. So you go from power metal into black metal, pretty much.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's how people realize some diversity.
The Misanthropist is my favorite Mindraiser song, first of all. Second of all, The Misanthropist is a different kind of. It's kind of an explosion, I suppose, when I think about it. But it's much darker than Nightfall, um, and it's one of the heaviest. Well, no, it's not anymore, but it was the heaviest.
It used to be the heaviest Mindraiser
Yeah,
song.
it used to
That
be,
has since
but you're
changed.
writing heavier and heavier music. But yeah, no. But
More shameless self promotion.
yes, the second track is often the most important track in an album as well, and that's why I put Further from the Grey second. Master of Puppets is a second track. Um,
While we're here, why don't we go through some of these set lists, some of the more important ones, maybe the ones we haven't talked about yet.
mhm.
I'll take a look at the second tracks. So let's jump to Iron Maiden because it's the first on the list. So
Do you
Iron
have
Maiden
these
begins at
memorized? Because I do
they're
not
on the
have the
Google
set list.
Doc.
The set list? The entire
They're
set list?
all on the Google Docs, every single one.
Oh, okay, cool. I see.
Yeah. So the first one's Iron Maiden, and Iron Maiden begins at Aces High and transitions directly into Where Eagles Dare. So Iron Maiden kind of does the same thing Mindraiser does, where they end their nice song, their big explosive song. They hit the lights and then they effectively reopen the show. So they have a second intro track, and then there's a explosion sound, and then you know.
Okay.
So I kind of dig it.
That
You
makes
don't
a
seem
bit
like
more
you're
sense.
crazy with the idea.
No. I did not watch that set list because I've seen Nine Main Live, so I prioritize blah blah blah. I see what you're saying now. When I first looked at it, I was like, "This is why are you hitting us with the exact same kind of song twice in a row?" But you explained why, and that makes it make
Yes.
sense. Um, okay, from the pinnacle to the pit. This is an obvious choice. It's the second song from their album for the same reason. Look, the track order on Meliora is flawless as an album. So
Yes.
maintaining
Yes,
like
it is.
if you maintained, I would move Cerise later on in the set list, which they do, because Cerise is more of the hit, and then a set is generally a little longer than the Melior album is. So they move Cerise
Yeah.
back a little bit. But From the Pinnacle to the Pit is a great second track because it's sort of the reverse of Spirit. Spirit's fast for Ghost, but it's a builder. From the Pinnacle to the Pit is relatively more simple, more straightforward, but it's a little slower. It's sort of plodding along.
And it's
Rammstein.
also way more complicated. Like, From the Pinnacle to the Pit sounds like a very straightforward song, and Spirit sounds like a very complicated song. But I know how to play both of these tracks for some reason. So
Yes.
Spirit is power chords until you get to the melody bit. From
Yeah.
the Pinnacle to the Pit, your hand is moving the entire time. And it's complicated stuff for Ghost, and it's really cool. Like that one riff, that riff is sick.
Yeah, I mean,
That riff
there's a
is really
difference
cool.
between how complicated it is to hear and how complicated it is to play. Those are not always the
Yes.
same.
So I think From the Pinnacle to the Pit is doing correctly what a Monomarth did incorrectly.
Yes.
You know, like this is the type, like Pursuit of the Vikings and From the Pinnacle to the Pit are very
Same type of song.
bassy songs,
Same type of
very
song.
similar.
Exactly the same type of song. They're bassy. They're plodding along. You should start rowing from the Pinnacle to the Pit. I'm on a mark. Take a hit. Take a hint. Yes.
So jumping to
Rise,
Rammstein.
Rise of Risa. I'm not crazy about it. I'm just not crazy about it even as a song. Like.
So it's kind of sort of a Rammstein ballad. If I were Rammstein, I would play Links zu drei Vier as my second song, or Fire Frei, because those songs are more, especially if you're opening with Ram 4, which doesn't really have much of there's not really a climax point there. So you need to go into something a little more intense, which Risa Risa is intense, but it's also very, very slow.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And they played Derek Sogu after that, which is a pretty fun track.
Right.
But yeah.
All right.
So moving on.
Freezing Moon. Exactly the phenomenon I'm talking about, where you wrap up your entire band statement into the first two songs. The second song is better than the first. It's a slower version of blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Freezing Moon, textbook example of exactly, like, second song centrality. A textbook example of it, I would say.
So now we come to a Monomarth, and a Monomarth has As Loki Falls. And As Loki Falls is a great track for a second song. But they just didn't have a first song. So,
ruins the whole thing.
Moving on. Gojira.
The heaviest matter in the universe? Could be.
I mean, that's
would
Gojira's
delay
best song.
Yes, but I would probably delay it a little bit. I would probably, honestly, put it more towards the middle of the set list, even though, people say, oh, you never remember things in the middle. I don't know. In the middle, I kind of want things that wake me up. You know what I'm saying? I want something.
They do have Flying Whales in the middle.
Maybe.
Flying Whales is fun.
Even so, Heaviest Matter in the Universe is just not what I put second. Because when I'm at the second song, I usually want to catch my breath somewhat,
Well, yeah, Only Pain's a pretty intense opening track.
So to cover that, even with, like, the Heaviest Matter in the Universe, is like, chill out, man.
Well, let's be real here. The first three songs in this set list are all really intense. Only Pain, Heaviest Matter, and Love. Love's off Gojira's first album. If you haven't listened to Gojira's first album, it's wild.
Sugar.
Born in Dissonance. So Born in Dissonance is off their new album, and it's a really cool track because it's, I don't know how to explain Born in Dissonance. Just go listen to it. Their new album, The Violent Sleep of Reason, is really cool. It's I think Meshuggah's finest album, to be honest with you. Give it a listen. I can't explain it. It's just good.
Okay. Moving on. Slipknot. Aside from opening with Sick, this set list order is a mess.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. So let's fix it.
Listen, why are we even? Why is Eyeless? Why are they even playing Eyeless? Who cares about Eyeless?
I don't know. No one cares about that
song. Yeah. Who gives a single shit about Eyeless? The second song should be Psychosocial. I think
I don't think they've ever done that. I think Psychosocial is usually in the middle or end.
Why?
I don't
It's like,
know.
okay, listen. If they're like trying to save their best hit for last, they don't need to do that because Psychosocial is not the greatest hit. The greatest hit is Duality, which they do save for last. So okay, fair enough. But like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, they don't play Duality last. They play Spit It Out last.
Okay, so first of all, what am I taking? What would we take out of this set list? Um, we don't need eyeless.
Yeah, Eyeless can go.
Uh,
That can be replaced with something. They can play Vermilion Part 2 instead of that.
yeah, they should play that. That would be cool. I would like that. Um, I'm not as. Which one is Dead Memories? No, Spit It Out is
Dead
last for
memories
Unlucky.
in the world. Yeah.
I don't
So,
know. I'm not enough of a maggot to have this memorized. I feel like All Hope
well,
Is Gone. The track is a good choice for this whole thing.
the way I think the last 3 songs were an encore, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
So Duality ended the whole main set, and then they reopened with People Equal as Shit.
people shit surfacing, spit it out. How do they have only? You gotta do your. Did they even? I don't know. I'm not gonna fish the entire set list. However, Psychosocial should be second, and Spit It Out should not
Okay.
be how they end this in any capacity, regardless of whether it's an encore or not.
Okay.
Because
They usually end with surfacing.
neither should surfacing be the ending statement here. Both of those songs would be better much earlier into the set list. Um, if I were going to have an encore ending for Slipknot, because Duality's already been done.
Play Duality again.
Play Duet, do it!
Play Duality
Play
twice.
Duality twice.
A duality of dualities.
Do it.
No, we're going with Play Duality twice. That's the answer. That is what we've decided.
Yeah, well, you know what, Slipknot, just don't even do an encore.
Moving on, Code Orange.
Code Orange.
So they played In Fear second. I don't remember In Fear. I listened to this album like a while ago. I don't remember this track. Wait, yes, I do. Yeah, this track is pretty cool. It's the second song off the album, I think.
Yeah.
He's just like,
yeah,
it's cool.
Code Orange. I don't care for.
Moving
Code
on,
Orange.
Power Trip.
Power Trip.
Firing Squad.
Listen,
Firing Squad is a good song.
Power Trip is an exception. I would say end with Soul Sacrifice, begin with Soul Sacrifice, end with Hammer of Doubt. Anything in the middle, whatever, dude.
Okay, so this set list is perfectly fine, except Soul Sacrifice and Executioner's Tax need to be cut and put to the front.
Yeah, I would. Okay, you're right. Yes, correct.
Goes into Executioner's Tax.
Yes, you're
Those
correct.
songs are written that way.
So yes, Soul Sacrifice, Executioner's Tax. Anything else, the Hammer of Doubt at the end. Yeah.
Okay, so Metallica did it right. They played For Whom the Bell Tolls second.
Well, Metallica have a phenomenal sense of flowing songs into the other on albums and live. They have a defining sense of that. I
mean, this set list is pretty banging, to be honest with you.
Except you don't like Sanitarium, but I love Sanitarium. So, and wait, well, here's the problem with this set list. It has Harvester of Sorrow on it. Who likes Harvester of Sorrow?
I do.
You do? I thought you were like. I thought you only like Frayed Ends of Sanity. I
love Frayed Ends of Sanity.
I know you love Frayed Ends of Sanity, but I thought you didn't like Harvester of Sorrow. Yeah.
Harvester of Sorrow is cool. It's not my. I wouldn't pick it for a set list. But remember, this was the And Justice for All tour, and that was the single. You got to play Harvester of Sorrow.
Why was it the single?
Because it was.
Why was that?
That was the lead single.
Any other song would be better. It was the worst song on the album.
Short of Straw should have been it. It should have been Short of Straw.
Probably should have been Short of Straw.
Which isn't in this set list, which makes me sad.
Yeah, that does. Oh man, Sort of Straw would have been great right there.
What I do enjoy is that they covered Megadeth and they played the Mechanics.
Shut your goddamn whore mouth. The bridge makes
So anyway,
it better.
moving on to Zabalba. I mean, Zabalba was smart, and they just played their best song second. They didn't care about anything else; they just played their best song second.
They should have started. They should have finished with Hasta la Muerte, though.
Perhaps.
Just because, it's a pun. Anyway, Blind Guardian.
So, Born in a Morning Hall is a good second song. Typically, they play Nightfall second and follow that directly with Welcome to Dying, or they play Banished from Sanctuary, which is low-key Blind Guardian's best song, apart from Lord of the Rings. And, Blind Guardian's just very versatile. They can do very little wrong as long as they play enough speed metal songs,
Yeah. Emperor.
So, are we including whatever the first song is called? Are we including that as the first song?
It's not. It's an intro. It's an intro.
Yeah, okay. But they actually played it.
Yes, but it's still an intro. Even if they play it, it's fundamentally a long intro.
So the second track then is "Thus Spake the Night Spirit,"
which is a great second track. No objections there.
Yes.
My objection
is... It's got that killer melody part. Night Spirit, Night Spirit.
Yes, very much. Everyone loves that part. Simple as. The problem is, who even cares by acclamation of Bonds? Who cares about that song?
Well, they're just playing the album all the way through.
Oh, okay.
They just played the album all the way
through. And then they played the Black Wizards and Inua Satana, which are the two songs to add, for sure. Okay.
Moving on to Mastodon. Why the hell are they playing Once More Around the Sun? Like, no one cares about that song. Like, Blasteroid is cool. Blasteroid's a great second track.
Why don't they open with Blood and Thunder?
They end with Blood and Thunder.
Why don't they open with Blood and Thunder?
Because they're stupid.
It's a blitz.
I know, Blood and Thunder is a great track. But, Tread Lightly's actually a good opener, too. Tread Lightly is their actual best opener, to be honest with you.
Oh.
And Blasteroid is probably their best second song.
Okay, well, blitzes, new secondary rule. Blitzes, if you don't put a blitz in the front of if you have another blitz besides the one that you're opening with, and you should, to be honest with you, put the second one somewhere close to the middle when people are losing attention.
Yeah, I like that idea. That's why we tend to play our track Extractor dead center in the set list.
Well, that's why Trapped Under Ice is track number 5. That's the effectiveness of Trapped. That is the brilliance of Ride the Lightning. Okay, Ride the Lightning is the most brilliantly constructed in terms of flow album, maybe ever.
Oh, in the Nightside Eclipse, my friend.
In the Nightside Eclipse, the songs don't after the first track, the middle of it, part of it, doesn't matter the order. You know what I'm saying?
I guess.
It doesn't.
I guess.
It's excellent. Right. Okay. Tracks 5 through 8, absolutely fantastic flow. Tracks 2, 3, and 4, it just doesn't particularly matter. It's not the point.
Well, hold on. Burning Shadows of Infinity is a pretty great second song. Is that what's called? Yeah. Burning Shadows, or whatever the phrase is?
Yeah. I guess so.
Either way, moving on.
Moving on. Even if I admit it was all great, it still wouldn't be as good as Ride the Lightning in terms of flow. And this is my favorite metal album, by the way. In the Nightside Eclipse is my favorite metal album. Seconded only by the Undertale soundtrack, as far as my favorite album.
Anyway, Carcass, Vakken 2014. They played Incarnated Solvent Abuse second. That's a mouthful of a song title, isn't it? That's a tough song title.
Yes.
But anyway, I think that's a fine second track for Carcass. I would really like to hear them play "Keep on Rotting in the Free World" second, but that's because I like that song way too much. Especially, it's very strange due to it being kind of a commie song. I'm not a commie, so yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be decent, but I agree with your pick also. They need to put No Love Lost in the set list.
Yeah, I think they do too.
Like, why isn't it there? Where is it? um,
Anyway,
anyways,
moving on to the next topic, a
yes.
balance of hits and fresh material. So, you need to have, so fresh material to me means two things. A deep cut, something they've either never played before or haven't played in years, or songs you'd be like, I can't believe they played that. Prime example, I recently went to see Metallica. When I say recently, like 2 years ago, they played Phantom Lord. That was great. I can't believe they played Phantom Lord. And they
Yeah,
played The Day That Never Comes. They played The Day That Never Comes. I can't believe it.
The Day That Never Comes is overrated, and it was the
But
hit.
either way, I didn't expect it. I didn't expect to hear it, and that was cool.
True, true.
Now, the other, of course, you need hits, and the other type of, or rather, the other type of fresh material is new songs. So
Yes.
you need to have a balance of new songs, or rather, fresh songs, and songs you need to play every show, or as
If
many
your
shows as possible.
if your album is really good, then you can get away with like, I mean, depending on how new you are. But if you're okay, so like I saw Machine Head on To the Locust period. That was my first metal show, um, and that album was really good by Machine Head standards at the time. So they managed to get away with making about a third of their set list onto the Locust, and that was totally a valid pick for a band with like, how many was it then? Seven albums in, um, and their new album is one of their, like, gonna get canonized. You know what I'm saying? There are canon
Yeah.
albums and there are non-canon albums. Onto the Locust is a canon album. Um, then there's like when you're newly getting established and like you're in your canon. Then it can go up to like the new material can be even half of it. But then if you're talking about a band like Metallica, I would be upset if I heard 3 Hardwired songs.
Um, yeah, on Metallica's current tour, I think they play 5 Hardwired songs, so maybe 6.
That is a mistake.
They play Hardwired, they play Atlas Rise, they play Moth into Flame, they play Spit Out the Bone, they play Halo on Fire, they play Dream No More, they play Now That We're Dead.
Okay, Dream No More grew on me, but Now That We're Dead is not a good song.
That song's poo poo.
That
Song's
song,
poo poo.
that song is poo poo, indeed. And what was the other random? You know which Hardwired songs are good and which ones aren't. What was the one that you listed that wasn't good?
Of those songs,
Yes.
do you not like Atlas Rise or Moth into Flame?
You listed Moth
Do you
of the
not
Flame, Atlas Rise,
Halo on
Hell
Fire?
on Fire.
Oh, Dream No More.
No, okay, yeah, Dream No More grew on me, so I'm kind of okay with Dream No More, but I'm not okay.
It's pretty great.
What?
Spit Out the Bone's pretty great.
Oh yeah, obviously you got to include that. Spit Out the Bone
And
is like
Hardwired's a great opener.
Spit Out the Bone is like the second or third best Metallica song.
Yeah, it kind of is.
um, no, okay, so it's the third greatest Metallica song. Yeah, it's the third greatest. It's Master of Puppets 1, and then Spit Out the Bone, dude.
I can dig it. So moving into the set lists that we were looking at.
Yes.
So for fresh material, I think Iron Maiden did a great job. Iron Maiden played very deep cuts. They didn't play any particularly new songs, but they did pull a track off of A Matter of Life and Death, which is really recent. And people, for some reason, consider Brave New World recent, even though it came out 20 years ago.
Because
And they played The Wicker Man.
yeah, anything from this millennium is recent. They played The Wicker Man.
Yes.
Yeah, but The Wicker Man, no, The Wicker Man's a hit. That's different.
That's fair. So they did bring out The Klansman, and they brought out Sign of the Cross, which are songs that Bruce Dickinson didn't sing on. And everyone hated the guy who sang on it for some bizarre reason. But you know what? Those songs are cool, and I never thought I'd get to hear the Klansmen live. As a Scottish person, you can see my Scottish flag behind me. I like Scotland, and I like things about Scotland, and I like that the Klansman is about Scotland. Made me happy.
The Evil That Men Do. It might be one of your personal favorite Maiden songs, but it's a deep cut for sure.
It's a deep cut that they've played in their last 10 set lists.
Well, then it's a deep cut that they're in love with, because they look.
It's been on like the past 4 tours.
Yes, but everything but Moonchild and Seventh Son of a Seventh Son on that album are deep cuts.
Can I Play with Madness is totally.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. Can I Play with Madness exists.
The Evil That Men Do wasn't a deep cut back in the day.
You know,
but the Evil That Men Do was actually a single.
I'm kind of wishing that I remained forgetting that kind of Can I Play with Madness exists.
Do you not like that song?
You know, I did before I got super into the album. You know what I'm saying? Like, the more I listened to it, I was just like, wow, this is just so much worse than everything else on the album.
Okay, so Seventh Son of a Seventh Son is my favorite album of all time. Just putting that out there, it is my all-time favorite album. Followed closely by Somewhere in Time. So, you know, I don't have a problem with Can I Play with Madness. And even in a live set, Can I Play with Madness is really fun. It's got a cowbell in it.
It does have a cowbell.
Dunk, dunk, dunk.
You know what else has a cowbell in it? Unbroken. Unbroken by Killswitch Engage. That's a random
I'm pretty sure... Hold on. Can I Play with Madness has someone awesome in the music video, and I can't remember who it is.
Huh.
I think it was Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee. It was one of those two guys who were in the Hammer films. And, you know, it's awesome. No, it was Graham Chapman. Graham Chapman from Monty Python. His final appearance on film was in Can I Play with Madness's music video.
Damn. Okay. Well, I guess that makes the song better. Cool. I guess that makes the song better just automatically. We're gonna skip around here because I don't think we can go through everyone. That will take another hour.
No, we don't need to go through every track.
But
another great example. Go on.
Yeah, let me see if I can pick out. You know, who's another great example here. At the time, I would say Metallica is a great example of this.
It was obvious that And Justice for All was going to be in the canon.
There is a third way to do new material that you did not cover.
What is that?
Covers.
This is true.
And I don't know about you, but I have a lot of fun when I know a cover and a band is covering that live. Always.
True.
So Last Caress, that counts as, and Bread Fan, both of those absolutely count as new material for the purposes of our Seattle here. Which leaves the new material for Seattle 99 as Harvester of Sorrow, To Live Is to Die. Blackened, yes. To Live Is to Die. That is honestly, why would you play that live? How do you play that
and
live?
Justice for All in one? Dude,
yeah, and Justice for All in one. Yeah, obviously, one had to be included. Like, obviously. But Last
One was a fresh track.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's just insane.
Dude, Master of Puppets was a fresh track in 87. Think about that. Think about Master of Puppets being a fresh track.
Wow. That hurts.
What? Master of Puppets was a fresh track when Anthrax sampled it on I'm the Man. Do you think they knew? I think they knew.
So, before we move on, I do want to make some note of a couple of examples that I thought were poorly balanced. I think Gojira played one too many songs off of their new album, and that album came out in 2016, and this show is in 2018, and I think they played too many songs off of Magma. You know, when Magma came out, there was a lot of hype around it, but I think the love for Magma has kind of faded slightly. It's Gojira has 3 amazing albums, 2 really good albums, and 1 album with just a few good songs on it. Magma is in one of the meh albums. Like, I really think they could have played another song off of L'Enfant Sauvage. Like they could have, like, I love that they played Explosia, but like maybe they could have played the Axe or Gift of Guilt instead of the Cell, or the Shooting Star. The Shooting Star and the Cell are cool songs, but I don't think we need 5 songs off of Magma. Magma was a pretty good album. It wasn't an amazing album, and I would like to hear. They didn't play anything off of the Link. They could have played Wisdom Comes, which is a really crazy song.
Yes. Second example, Slipknot. And I've realized what Slipknot need to end their encore with, and it's Pulse of the Maggots.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. There's too much old material here. There's too much from their first 2 albums, and not enough from their second 2 albums overall. Not by
and this was in 2009
yes,
too,
right?
And they were promoting All Hope Is Gone.
But how many songs do they have from All Hope Is Gone? They've got Sulfur, Psychosocial, and
Dead Memories.
Dead Memories. I don't even remember Dead Memories. That was no pun intended. But why not All Hope Is Gone? Question mark.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard a live version of that track. I don't know if they. I just don't know if they've ever played it live.
And how do they miss Pulse of the Maggots? And why is Eyeless in here? Why is Eyeless in here? Who cares about Eyeless?
Slipknot's very big at playing songs off of their first 2 albums, though.
I think I just like them better.
They really do. Like, I saw them not too long ago. It was about a year ago. It was actually the last concert I went to that I didn't perform in myself. And they played a blistering set, but it was like extremely weighted in their first few albums. They barely played anything off of Subliminal Verses. They played Before I Forget, Duality, and Vermilion. Maybe they played one more, but I don't remember.
Drum Monkey says Slipknot played All Hope Is Gone live in 2008. Congrats, they should have played it in 2009 too.
Yeah, really they should have. But anyway, an example that I think also played too many hits was Rammstein. Being a short set list and all is fine, but like they could have done some, like how many times have we heard Link zu Drei Wir and Du riechst so gut and Reise Reise? We've heard those songs a million times. Like, they could have easily replaced Reise Reise for Rosenrot, and they could have easily replaced Link zu Drei Wir with Pussy, and it just would have been more fun. I think. That's just because we've heard these songs a billion times. Sure, you've got to play Mein Herz brennt and Du hast. Okay, fine. I get it, it's a 6-song set list. But, like, you can do something a little more interesting, Rammstein.
So, next we've got Flow of Songs. As we move down this list, it's becoming clear that we've already talked about a lot of what's happening, but we should still go over the points. It'll just take less time, I think. Flow of Songs. So, first you talked about Emperor and Mayhem playing albums top to bottom. I feel like this is particularly effective for Emperor and Mayhem because they're such atmospheric bands, and they're very album reliant.
Yeah.
So, just being in a setting where they can express what the album is getting across in a live setting, I think is very effective. It's less of an audience-based sort of model, I think, that they're operating on,
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's not so much trying to get the reaction of, oh, the crowd's going to go crazy, or blah, 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 you're going to get them clapping their hands, etc., etc. It's more like they want to present the album experience, but in the case of Mayhem, at least, they want to add that ritual aspect to it, that they've got.
Yeah, and let's be real, Mayhem's terrifying live.
Right. And in the case of Emperor, it's like, why would I go see this? I could just listen to the studio album because it's literally
So
just the studio album.
what I will say is, Emperor does one thing really good, where they add 2 extra songs. De Mysterious Dom Satanas is not a long enough album to be the entire set list.
That's correct.
And that's the entire set list.
That's correct.
So they should have probably thrown a couple of songs on the end. Like, they could have played Death Crush, Pure Fucking Armageddon, and
Whore.
Whore. Yeah,
Do
there you
go.
Sure. Play a couple of other songs at the end, just to... Like, I get it, De Mysterious Dom Satanas is a phenomenal ending track. And if I were Mayhem, that's what I would end with. And you don't want to interrupt the flow of the album.
Encore, Pure Fucking Armageddon, Whore, Death Crush. In that order.
That would work. I'd be okay with that. I'd also be okay with any combination of those 3 songs in a mixture. You know, I don't care. Those songs are good. I want to hear those tracks.
I also want to hear Dark Night of the Soul, but that's totally off topic. And by that point, I don't think if you're putting Dark Night of the Soul on it, you can still be playing De Mysterious Dom Satanas the whole way through.
It is currently in their set list.
But it's not a De Mysterious Dom Satanas set list.
This is true.
Yes, exactly.
So, another great example would be Iron Maiden, and I've beaten this into the ground. Iron Maiden is so cool with how they arrange their set lists. You know, they usually will pick a theme, and every song on the set list will have something to do with the theme. Except in this particular show, they had 3 themes. 3. So in the last tour, they did like a Mayan thing, because they're promoting the Book of Souls. So they played Power Slave and songs like that kind of fit into that dealio. But now, you know, we'll start out with all of our songs about war. So you get the Klansman, you get the Trooper, you get, you know, why am I drawing a blank? You get 2 Minutes to Midnight, you get Aces High, Where Eagles Dare. Then we're like, hey, you know what? Let's take them to church. So they play Revelations, For the Greater Good of God, The Sign of the Cross, Flight of Icarus,
The Wicker Man.
Then we go to hell. Number of the Beast, Iron Maiden, The Evil That Men Do, Hallowed Be Thy Name, and then for some reason Run to the Hills is tacked on the end.
Well, that's tacked on the end for
we'll get there.
reasons. We'll get there. Yes.
So, you know, I think bands that do that are really cool. I think more bands should do that. Like, for example, if you're writing an album that has a space theme,
mm-hmm.
and you've got a couple of songs in the past that had sci-fi elements, you should play those songs when you're promoting your space-themed album.
To pull it off,
you know,
yes, but to pull it off, you have to be a band that is like Iron Maiden in terms of having a wide variety of, like, very diverse, strong thematic topics. You know what I'm saying? And most bands just are not like this. Like,
my band is.
Right. Most bands, either they have, like, a couple themes, or their topics are so wide-ranging, it's hard to group it into, like, strong themes, and they're, like, about life or something. Like, either they're about a simple topic, like Mayhem, where everything is just Satan and darkness and death and yes, all the time, the whole way through. Or it's something like, the other example is Power Trip, where Power Trip are writing about whatever the fuck all the time. Like, I
don't know what they're thinking about.
Self-doubt, execution, politics, religion, general anxiety, violence, life being difficult, people, like, there's no way to thematically sort this stuff is the point. Nothing wrong with it. Yeah. I'm just saying you cannot do an Iron Maiden thing based on that.
Power Trip cannot do this. However, Metallica could.
Maybe. There are so many songs that are just about personal emotions, though. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Iron Maiden is more theatrical. You have to have a certain level of theatricality to it, I think. You know who can do this, for sure, though? Nidgen Issue.
Ninganisu could do this. This is for sure.
Because they're a band that talks
Moving
about a
on
lot of stuff.
before we go on to a rant about Ninganisu,
Yes.
let's move on to Mastodon as an example that I think there's just not very much flow. I love Mastodon. I love their studio albums, and their studio albums flow so well. But like this set list just feels like it has no rhyme or reason to it. Just like, oh, what songs do you want to play tonight? Okay, let's do that. I kind of think that's how they do it. I really do.
You just.
What are we gonna play tonight, boys? Yeah, let's play The Octopus Has No Friends. Okay. They actually have a song called that, if you're wondering.
Yeah, you. So Mastodon set according to Nick, and I'm not going to disagree. I don't even like Mastodon to begin with, though, so I'm not a fair critic. But Mastodon set according to Nick. This is how you do everything wrong, by the way.
I'm sorry, Mastodon. I love you. I love your music, but like the set list was kind of in shambles. Moving on. Power Trip. Everything is fast and heavy, so it doesn't matter what order the songs are in unless Soul Sacrifice is in the front.
Yes, but we said Soul Sacrifice should be in the front, Execution is tax, and then end with Hammer of Doubt. But for the most part, yeah, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
And
all right, to finish it off, the closer.
yes,
This is the most important moment of the set list because this is the moment you need people to remember.
right.
And I used lovely
Metaphorical speak. Very Tobias
sex
Forge
metaphors.
inspired. Very Tobias Forge
Yes, this is
inspired.
inspired by Tobias Forge from Ghost. He likes to refer to the final track as the orgasm of the set. And, you know, according to science, the orgasm is the most pleasurable part of intercourse. And if what Tobias Forge says is true, then the orgasm, as he puts it, should be the most pleasing part of the show.
Well, this is kind of
So,
ironic when they were ending with Monstrance Clock, because Monstrance Clock is a pillow talk song.
Monstrance Clock is actually one hell of an orgasm. Go rewatch that video.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, we'll talk about this.
The types of closers. You could close with your orgasm, which is the emotional climax of the set. It's big, intense, emotional, very deep. This is a serious song. This isn't a silly song. This isn't a fun song. This is your huge moment of. And I think the best example of all time is Ino a Satana.
Yep, definitely the climax of the album and the climax of the set list, naturally too.
They ended with this because it is just. It's got that moment where you get your arm hair stands up.
Yeah, where did I put it in my top metal songs of all time? Pretty high.
I mean, it's
1,
pretty
2, 3,
great.
4,
It's the
5,
second
6,
best black
7,
metal
8,
song.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
He's counting.
21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26,
All right,
27,
it's
28,
not in the top
29,
20. It's all good.
30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43.
Spit It Out is also an orgasm song.
Jesus.
And it is.
Where is it? It's somewhere in the 60s or something. But that's still high. That's still high.
Yeah, man. Anyway, Spit It Out is also an orgasm song, and it's an orgasm for a different reason. So Spit It Out, they do that jump thing.
I'm not seeing it, man. That is not a serious song. That does not. Spit It Out does not give me goosebumps. Spit It Out does not make my hands stick out.
I mean, when 50,000 people are all jumping at the same time, that's pretty. That's a goosebumps moment right there in my book.
That's something you do in the middle of the set list. That's like the antics.
They do it at the end.
Well, they're wrong.
And it's effective.
Okay.
Have you seen Slipknot Live? I have.
Okay, fine. But you were just agreeing like a minute ago they shouldn't end with Spit It Out.
No, they should end with Surfacing. Surfacing is the pillow talk.
Okay, whatever.
So moving on, Pillow Talk. Pillow Talk is a post-climax epilogue. Simpler, upbeat, more fun. This is, you've had your emotional climax already, but you want to let them down easy. This is something I have debated back and forth whether I want to do this with my band. My band has an obvious emotional climax song, and I have considered, maybe we'll end with a cover just to lighten the mood a little bit. And I have yet to decide which I prefer.
Cover.
So great example. Okay.
Honestly,
so great
I
examples
think
of
Pillow Talk is better 90% of the time.
Perhaps. So the examples of Pillow Talk I've listed are "Run to the Hills" from Iron Maiden, "Hallowed Be Thy Name" being the obvious orgasm song. A, it's the best song of all time, and B, it's just so intense,
Yes.
And the other example is "Mirror, Mirror" by Blind Guardian, "Lord of the Rings" being the emotional climax. And "Lord of the Rings" is an odd track to consider the climax because it's a ballad, but it's there. And "Mirror, Mirror" is just so much more fun. If you haven't heard it, it's kind of just like "Run to the Hills." They're very similar tracks. And the last version is "Not Tonight, Dear." This means we're not getting there. We've gotten through the whole set, but we're not gonna pop your cherry there. We're just gonna call it a night. You can use the vibrator if you want.
All right, that's a lot of metaphor.
No real sense of climax. The show just kind of ends. So thankfully, there are no great examples of this in the concerts we've presented. However, I do have a hypothetical example. "Seek and Destroy" by Metallica. For some reason, they love ending with this song. God knows why. Fine track. Good track. Middle of the set track. Why in God's name would you end with "Seek and Destroy"?
Nostalgia trip, I guess.
It's not big enough for an orgasm. It's not fun enough for Pillow Talk.
I think
The
they think
show
it's
just,
fun enough for Pillow Talk.
they're wrong. The show just kind of ends. Why would you end with this when you could end with Call of Cthulhu? Why would you end with this when you could end with "Spit Out the
Did they play
Bone"?
Call of Cthulhu live?
They have. Metallica is great in that they change their set list every night and include random nonsense all the time. However, that also makes it very likely that you'll hear a Saint Anger song, because the title track and "Frantic" regularly get thrown into the set list, replacing songs like "Battery" or "Phantom Lord" in the
Yes,
set
but
list.
Frantic is good.
Yeah, your lifestyle determines your death style, sir.
Dude, it's too funny. I mean, besides being too funny, it's just, I don't know,
It's
man.
the samurai cop of Metallica songs.
Yes, and the rest of it is the pass through of Metallica songs. The rest of that album is the pass through of Metallica songs.
Look,
No,
look,
no,
look.
sorry, not pass through. I'm an idiot. I am here now. Pass through is
Yes,
good. Pass
that
through is
one.
good. Pass through is good. I'm listing bad movies that you're supposed to like because they're so bad that they're good, but they're actually just bad again. Frantic
Yeah, so
is definitely so bad that it's good, but it's pretty catchy, dude. It's pretty catchy.
I don't enjoy Frantic.
Okay.
I do not enjoy Frantic. Frantic, dick, dick,
Tick
dick, dick,
tick
dick,
tick tick
cock.
tick 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 tick.
What a stupid concept. What a dumb song. Oh, yeah, you sing a song called Frantic. Now I'm just going to start saying tick, 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 tick. And you
His
know what?
lifestyle
I'm going
determines
to
his
go
death
with this
style.
dumb line. My lifestyle determines my death style. What the hell is that?
I
I
mean, I
mean,
know what that
it's
means.
really weird. You could be calling yourself a piece of furniture, but, you know, also, oh, Patrick is getting in trouble.
Yes. So we're gonna need to wrap this up pretty soon. However, we're
Well,
pretty much done.
conveniently, I was pretty much done. Yeah.
So
next week we will come up with a new and interesting topic to talk about. Perhaps it will make fun of Patrick and his. What is Dennis yelling?
he's telling me to be done, even though I'm done. Moron.
He's telling you to go to bed.
Because I yelled it. I was trying to. Anyway.
Everyone, Dennis.
Yes,
Patrick's
ladies and
lovely
gentlemen,
roommate.
Dennis. This is why we normally do this on Saturdays.
The first time I met this man, I saw his phallus.
Yes.
Yeah,
So.
that was sad.
Yes.
Very sad for Dennis. I'm sorry, Dennis. That was mean but funny.
Anyways, it's a not tonight, dear kind of night for us, I believe.
I think it's definitely a not tonight, dear kind of night for us.
So we are
What
going to.
What was your fidget toy today? What were you fidgeting with today?
Oh, I just had my stick, basically.
Your stick. Show us the stick.
Yeah, you haven't seen my stick. I've got my stick. I've been fidgeting with my stick,
I
but
have a bowl.
we just can't do it tonight, even despite all the fidgeting with my stick. Yeah, until next time.
Yeah, we're gonna do it again, and maybe we should do a supplemental dialectic this week.
Maybe I should release the supplemental dialectic that we recorded weeks ago.
You haven't done that yet, Dingleberry.
We could do another supplemental dialectic, though.
We will release We will release the supplemental dialectic this week, and eventually release the other supplemental dialectic. But anyway,
Yes.
I don't want to get Patrick in trouble, and more importantly,
We're
not
done
to be
anyway.
embarrassed.
We're done anyway. So until next time, I am Patrick.
I am Nick.
And this is Dialectic Chaos.